how do you think that energy demand will look like? Theoretically speaking, we have to understand this relationship. Yes. So either of these ends, you will find a rise in the energy demand. Because it is your outdoor temperature which will affect your choice of technology. If you have low temperature outside, you will be looking for room heaters. Are you lost in the discussion or you are still there? You are still here. You can come here. Come this side. Cross-sector impacts. As you asked for bioenergy, I think, the competition for land with other sectors, from where you will have energy crops, from where you will have the water for irrigation, you will be competing for the resource. And it is very likely that it will have an impact on the other sectors as well. That's why the discussion of energy-water nexus. Now, all these are in some aspects related to energy system, but as I said, energy sector in itself is a much broader concept, so it has to provide that environment. It has to provide that impetus that the policy, one is the issue itself is putting a pressure that you go for a kind of a policy environment where you are taking these issues with some degree of seriousness. Now, adaptation measures can reduce the vulnerability of the energy system by building capacity, by improving your set of information considered for your decision making, by integrating climate risk into management and operational decisions, explicitly accounting for it. And at the policy level, your evaluation of the different technologies. I'll come to that. I'll come to that because if I can say that I can say at this moment as well, but I have a certain flow, otherwise it will miss out on many things. Because this is one of the characteristic features of the adaptation measures. Now, what are the questions which would be coming to your mind at this stage?
There cannot be any reduction in the energy because the temperature, the natural temperature will be there.
No, if I say that now we are getting focused, so we are not bothered about the overall functioning of the sector. From the adaptation perspective, what would be the questions which you should be asking yourself?
How to go about these changes without affecting the overall growth.
Forget about the economy for the moment. Forget about the policy environment for the moment. Think about it from an organizational perspective.
So how much to spend on this?
So now the energy demand is more variable, you can't say.
How vulnerable are your assets? What options do you have to increase the resilience? How can future investments be adopted to anticipated changes? Or to ensure that you have access to tailored and timely weather, the terminology as it goes. for flexible adaptation strategies.
Sir, but you are saying that we have to focus on micro, not macro.
Yes, these are the organization in which you have an organizational perspective. From the organizational perspective, I am saying, if you are in a pipeline business, then you have to take into account the uncertainty on the environmental impact. I think the idea is clear.
So climate change, in this perspective, you can't. Your decision will be having impact on others. So you have to work in particular framework. You are saying that you think focus on this particular aspect only. As an
organization, you would be looking for adaptation measures according to your portfolio. You cannot, the business in which you are in, therein you will be looking for the issues involved. What happens to the, let's say, the wind energy, you will not be bothered about it unless you are in the wind power generation or supplying wind power generation technology. So I am saying in that sense, to look at the issue from the organizational perspective. Now, to give you it's not that things which I am discussing are vague. There is a national mission for strategic knowledge for climate change. How many of you are aware? What did you say?
It is covered under energy mission.
How many missions are there?
8.
Yes. It is one of those missions.
One of them.
But let's look at what is the objective of this mission. To identify the challenges of and the response to climate change, a clear emphasis on the response to climate change, funding of high quality and focused research into various aspects of climate change, understanding potential socio-economic impacts of climate change, climate science research fund, dissemination of new knowledge based on research findings. So in the policy circle now the focus is also shifting, though there is a focus on the mitigation part as we are going economy, as you are saying that okay, you cannot expect that your energy demand will not be growing. So the mitigation part has an important role to play. But so much so the case with adaptation. Now, let me come to these features. You would be asking that, okay, am I reacting to a particular issue in a reactive manner or a proactive manner? So that proactive decisions would aim to reduce the exposure to future risks in something which you have to deal at hand. So your response can be reactive in a manner. There is the pace as well as the flexibility of adaptation measures. Now, for the terminology, they can be classified as, though they all mean the same thing, short term or long term, tactical or strategic, instantaneous or cumulative. Then your ability to face associated uncertainties, which would again depend, as in there is a broad classification that you have no regrets options. what is meant by that? That the socio-economic benefits, as you were saying, exceed their costs, whatever the extent of future climate change. That's covered in that. You have low regrets options. Associated costs are relatively low, and for which the benefits under projected future climate change may be relatively large. Now, no regrets is the future climate change. And here, where the benefits are being in line with the projects which are being carried out, I was in low regret options. Then it creates a new opportunity, business opportunity for you. So you are addressing the whole of the issue, but at the same time you are venturing into a new business altogether. Your response can be localized because the adaptation will take place at the local level. When we are talking about decentralized energy systems, or the systemic, you need some kind of policy change in the sector as a whole, affecting your different. Now, what are the nature of, what is the nature of the agents involved? It can be private, it can be public, autonomous, municipal, market driven. This is just for the terminology. Now, am I running too fast?
I think you are slow. You can be fast.
Now that question, what is meant by building capacity? First would be to improve the knowledge system by having more of research and development, more of data collection, monitoring, not just the data collection but also the monitoring part. Increasing awareness about the issue at hand. So it can be looked at as in the industry level, or it can be understood at a much broader, from the government taking some initiatives. As I discussed that, okay, there is a strategic knowledge for, there is a mission for strategic knowledge generation. And also sometimes I came across this quote that you cannot manage what you can't measure. So that the whole idea about it is to have the required information, even though uncertain, but to make an assessment of the involved to the best possible extent. Much obvious. You would like different groups to take active interest into any of your strategy. So all these issues need to be these get covered in your building capacity dimension of the adaptation method. Now, so you have your response can be technological, it can be behavior, or it can be structural. You may be expecting that okay, we shall not be, we need to reroute the pipeline, or let us restrict our operations from now on in the low coastal plain areas. looking for alternative technologies for your renewables, and to keep a check that you are not having substandard material being supplied to you. So, and for how that can happen? That is why I discussed that energy sector has to ensure that these measures, because your suppliers, manufacturers of the equipment, why would they be interested? Unless there is a policy push. So you cannot expect this to happen as on its own. Yes, to some extent, yes, as far as it affects the feasibility of the project under hand. Then the sharing responsibility for losses and risks. It can be high priority events, there can be low priority events, but have a very catastrophic impacts on your energy infrastructure or your energy operations. Exploiting opportunities again, that demand side management, decentralized energy system, urban design and land use planning. Going for adopting integrated framework for planning. So I think this brings me. Now the last part of is, what are these agents who are to participate in the whole process of figuring out what is the cost, what is the benefit. So you have private adaptation with individuals or households may feel that okay, your central grid will not be able to take care of this much. So you provide that initiative incentive, and people will take up technology wholeheartedly. At all government levels, there has to be a sensitivity about this. And then your important role for regulators, because then your fiscal and your economic incentives become more important to drive a certain kind of thing. So, adaptation would look for incremental change, because it is addressing the near and the medium term. It is more because your immediate case, your own the viability of the project, all depends upon your near and medium term. So now, what we were thinking is that I'll be discussing the decision-making framework. We were thinking that we can have a